right, so absolute values in equations. Now you can have absolute values in inequalities also, but to be honest, we don't have any absolute values in inequalities on your CQA, so I'm just going to hop right over that part, okay? I figure as long as you see it in equations, which is on your CQA, then we'll be fine, all right? So first of all, what do you all know about absolute values? All right, so always positive. Thank you. So the symbols for absolute values kind of look like this. So let's say we have the absolute value of -5. Okay, that's how you would show absolute value between those two longer straight lines. And again, it's always positive. So the absolute value of -5 would be +5. Sometimes people get this confused with opposites or the additive inverse, but this really isn't opposites, because if you found the absolute value of a positive number, it would stay positive. Okay? Now, do you know the technical definition for absolute value? All right. So the technical definition for absolute value is the distance from 0 on a number line. All right. So -5 is 5 places away from 0 on a number line. 6 is 6 places away from 0 on a number line. That's really what that means. Okay? All right, so I just wanted to review what absolute values meant, what the symbols looked like, so that you are comfortable with that. Okay? So when we have an equation that has absolute values in it, I'm going to start off with easier equations. Okay? Let's say we have an absolute value symbol, the x, the variable, equals 3. Okay? That could mean that x either equals a +3 or x can equal a -3. Because right here, I can replace that with a 3 or a -3 and it would equal 3. All right, so that would be your answer. You would have 2 answers for this. So all of the problems today, you're going to have 2 answers for. And they're not always just opposites of each other, all right? But every answer we have today, you're going to have 2 solutions for. So any questions about that before we get into like problems that have a little bit more than one step? Okay. X equals 3 or x equals 4 would be a possibility. Not this problem. What I'm saying is every solution we're going to have today is going to have 2 possibilities, but the 2 possibilities are not always just opposites of each other, like 3 and -3 or 5 and -5. It's not always just like that. This one is 3 and -3 because there's nothing we're doing to this at all. There's not any steps in this equation besides just having the absolute value signs. Okay. Will you give me, can we see the next example? Maybe that'll help you. All right, so next example, if you have your variable inside your absolute value sign, but then next to it you have -5 equals -2. What we want to do here is we want to get the absolute value by itself, okay? So in this case, it would just be getting your variable by itself. So just like a normal equation, we would add 5 to both sides. And that's going to give you the absolute value of n equals 3. Okay, now wait, that's not my answer. My answer does not have any absolute value symbols in it. My answer would just have n equals 3 or n equals -3. Just coincidence that it's a 3 and -3 again. No, I did not. Shh. How about we do what is the difference between the last example and this example. I know the letter is different, the numbers are different, but in the setup of the problem, what's different about it? Good. So the variable is not by itself inside of these absolute value signs. We have this minus 8 with it in there. Okay? So in this case, the absolute value is already kind of separated by itself, like this. So we have to solve this one by saying, all right, well, r minus 8 could equal 6, or r minus 8 could equal negative 6. But then we have to figure out what is r. Okay? So r, if we add 8, r would be 14, or r would be 2. The absolute value of this answer is either 6 or negative 6. Because an absolute value is the positive and the negative. We could put a 6 in here or a negative 6 in here. Okay? So again, I'm going to put 2 of them that are similar. I heard someone say, I don't get it. I'm going to put 2 of them that are similar to each other side by side so you can actually see the difference. Let's not use 5. Let's use 7. All right. For those of you that are like, what? What just happened? This is verses, okay? So we can actually really compare the difference in how you would do these two problems. Because all the letters are the same, the numbers are the same. The only difference is how those absolute value signs are made. So in this first one, I would want to, because the 2 is not inside of the absolute value sign, I'd want to first subtract my 2 to give me absolute value of w equals 5. So then I would say, so w could equal 5, or w could equal negative 5, and I'm done. Whereas on that one, the plus 2 is inside of the absolute value sign. So before I solve anything, I would say, well, w plus 2 could equal 7, or w plus 2 could equal negative 7. And then I would need to solve both of those equations separately. So in this one, w would equal 5. In this one, w would equal negative 9. So that's the difference in those two types of problems. As long as you have examples in your notes, you should be fine, okay? Now let's look at a different type of problem. What if you had actually, back up. What do you think I would do first in this problem? I would need to divide by 5 first, yes. Because again, the 5 is outside of the absolute value sign. So I want to go ahead and get rid of it first. So I get the absolute value of d is 7. So that means d could equal 7, or d could equal negative 7. Are we alright with that? No. Yes. All right, now this one. we can see we're going to have two things that we're going to need to do to that W to get it by itself. So keep that in mind. This is going to be similar to the last one in our first step. We're going to do what? Yes. All right. Divide by -3. So the absolute value of 2W equals -4. Oh, sorry. Thank you. You're right. Two negatives make a positive. Yep. Thank you. Now, I can't just divide by 2 right now. I have to now say that 2W could equal 4, or 2W could equal -4. So when you have more left inside of the absolute value symbols than just the variable, you have to do it this way. Okay? And now you can actually solve. Well, in this one, W would equal 2. In this one over here, W would equal -2. I'm close to being done. Just hold on. Let me do one more. You're going to think when you see this problem that we just did one just like it. What's the big deal? Well, what do we do first? We divide it by -2. So when we divide it by -2, we get that the absolute value of 70 is -7. Let me pause. Some people already discovered the issue with this right now. Others of you are sitting there talking and have no idea. The issue with this right now, we divided by -2. 14 divided by -2 is -7. We're saying that the absolute value of this is -7. What is the very first thing you guys told me about absolute values? It's always positive. So there is nothing that we can put in here in replace of this variable to make this work. So this is no solution. It's impossible. Absolute values can't be negative. They are always positive, right?